Well, 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 well. Cracker Barrel, you fucked up. You decided to change everything. You had this damn woman CEO, liberal, decide they're going to go in and change everything to make it more inclusive for everybody to come into Cracker Barrel. Y'all don't understand this. You're going to go in and change everything, change the logo to whatever the hell that is. They got rid of Uncle Herschel and the barrel. Everybody's saying, well, they got rid of the cracker and the barrel. Well, not really. Uncle Herschel that's sitting there, he was the actual uncle of the founders of Cracker Barrel, and they put him on the logo. And that barrel represents the old country stores where you know back in the day you had barrels of items in the store, and you would get your items out of that barrel, like pickles, beans, rice, crackers. Yeah, they would have store crackers in the barrel. That's why they call it Cracker Barrel. And now we got rid of all that. And we've got a damn new logo now that looks like a fucking Denny's logo. It doesn't. I mean, look, if you look at the Denny's and look at this new logo, it's damn near the same. And then we're going to change the motif on the inside, get rid of all the old things hanging on the walls and all that, and you know, change up the tables and chairs and all that. You don't understand. People went to Cracker Barrel because it was a themed restaurant. It was a themed restaurant. You knew when you walked into Cracker Barrel, you was going to see all these old things hanging on the walls, and you know, the rocking chairs and the fireplace and all that, and sit down at a table, and you feel like you sit down at your grandma's table on Sunday afternoon for Sunday dinner. But no, we're going to change. Even changed up the menu. And one of the things that I seen this CEO's interview, and I kind of laughed about it. She said, oh, and we're also going to have Uncle Herschel's favorite, whatever the hell that is. But we're going to mention him, but we're going to take him off the logo. And it said they're going to keep the peg game. Well, I heard they're going to change the colors of the pegs to be more inclusive. I don't know if that's true or not. But you got to realize that that's a themed restaurant, and that was a location to go to, because you knew you could go in there and you have all this stuff hanging on the walls and everything, and it's kind of like you was going to your grandma and grandpa's house that lived out in the country and see all this different stuff. And I remember when my kids were younger, we'd go to Cracker Barrel and we'd sit there and eat, and my kids would point things on the wall and say, Dad, what is that? What is that? And I would explain to them, because I knew what it was, because that's kind of how I grew up. But you say that the majority of people that you tested, they thought it was great, thought it was fantastic. Then why is your stock down so fucking much? How come your stock is down? You're losing hundreds of millions of dollars of market share because you want to whitewash, and I'm using that word literally, whitewash the damn restaurant. That's not going to drop. These people that you're trying to appease never went to Cracker Barrel in the first place, and probably will never go to Cracker Barrel. I'm not going anymore. I mean, the draw for me to go in there, not so much the food, but the food was good, was just to feel the ambiance of the restaurant and just the way that it felt. And a lot of people say, well, you know, I've seen some people on social media say, well, you know, it's kind of like, you know, going back to Jim Crow South. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's history. It's and the people that this history is from probably never even around slaves. It's just old country living. And the store, I mean, you could go in there and they would have, well, I'm not going to say obscure candy, but they would have candy that you normally wouldn't see anymore in the stores that they still make, like, you know, sugar daddies and sugar babies and 15 different kinds of licorice, and, you know, I mean, all kinds of things. And you go in there and buy little knickknacks and little trinkets, and every once in a while they'd have like a special Christmas ornament they'd sell and stuff like that. Now if you go in there, it looks like a fucking reject from Targets, because they're exchanging all that shit in there for more of a retail type deal, which that was part of the draw, is to go in there and find this obscure stuff. But no, we're going to change that up. We're going to change that up. And you got some country music person, which I've never really heard of, that I can't even remember the name to even tell you, that's supposedly going to be doing their commercial and doing the speaking in their commercial and stuff like that. If you want to save your ass, on this thing. Get Sydney Sweeney. Get Sydney Sweeney to do your damn commercial. Maybe that'll help. But your damn stocks dropped. You're down $14 a damn share. I mean, my God. And this is just in a couple of days. And it's a theme-based restaurant. That's what people went for. And I know they got a little over 600 stores or restaurants. But there's another restaurant chain. It's small. Only got about 40 here in the Midwest. And it's a themed restaurant, too. It's called Colton's. It's a steakhouse. And they have the theme that they have is more of a farmer rancher time theme. You know, you go in there and you know, they got wood carvings, you know, people that carved that with chainsaws. You go in and the food's damn good, I'm telling you right now, in these places. But you go in there and they got like horseshoes and lassos and saddles and shit, and some old tools and what have you, old rifles that's been, you know, made sure that they can't be fired, you know, pins been taken out, hanging on the wall. And the other thing about it, it's kind of fun, is you go in there and they got metal buckets full of peanuts. And you could crack open these peanuts and if you're sitting at your table waiting on your food and eat the peanuts, you can throw the shells on the floor. And they got a little guy comes around with a broom every once in a while, sweeps them all up. But it's a themed restaurant. And I was in there just yesterday, and I asked the manager, I said, hey, real quick, you know, does your company have any plans on making any changes to your restaurant as far as like your theme and you know like painting the walls white and stuff like that? And he looked at me, he said, you mean like Cracker Barrel? And I said, yeah. He said, hell no. He said, this is what we are. This is our history. And that's why people like to come in there. And I'm guarantee you that at this restaurant, you can go over there on a weekend, well, even of course during the week, parking lot's full. I mean, there's times you have to sit out in the waiting area. You know, they got a bench out there that you can sit until they get an empty table for you to go in. So, Cracker Barrel, you fucked up. You fucked up. And time will tell. You know, that's kind of like, you know, Aunt Jemima and the pancake thing. I mean, they all got their head out of their ass and they wanted to get Aunt Jemima off the package. Now it's, what is it, Pearl Hills Milling or some shit like that? People don't even go looking for that. So, Cracker Barrel, nice to know you. I ain't going back.